He's a child of God, a husband, NRA conservative, radical right-wing supervillain, and Twitter rock star. American by birth, Texan by choice, and a badass by nature. He's the owner of TomO'Halloran.com, O'Halloranmedia.com, and PatriotRadio.net. Please welcome Tom O'Halloran.
There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And welcome back. Welcome to Patriot Radio with Tom O'Halloran. I am your host, Tom O'Halloran, broadcasting tonight from my underground bunker deep in Arkansas, Nebraska, to educate, irritate, and agitate. And if you're not agitated by the end of this hour, folks, you just ain't listening. Tonight we're going to uncover a number of news stories from around the country. If you'd like to join in the conversation, please call 888-909-1050. If you'd like to listen on your phone, call in at 832-999-1050. You can also listen to the live stream on your computer at patriotradioshow.com. Again, my name is Tom O'Halloran. You can follow me on Twitter. I am TPO_hisself. You can find my main blog at TomO'Halloran.com. And when you get there, please be sure to follow me on Facebook, Spreaker, and any other social media site that you're fond of. Please also, while you're there, follow my editor, Veronica Coffin. Veronica does most of the heavy lifting on my network these days, and I couldn't do this if it wasn't for her doing that. You'll find her follow button at the bottom of every post. Also, we have just launched our show page on Facebook. Please be sure to stop by facebook.com/Patriot Radio Show and give us a like. I'm on air 3 nights a week, so be sure to catch me tomorrow night as well at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the second episode of Patriot Radio Show with Tom O'Halloran, and again on Friday at the same time, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for my weekly Jihad on America show. On this show, I will, on a weekly basis, cover the Islamists in America, who they are, what they want, and why you should be afraid. We'll continue pulling back the mask of Islam as well. We look into what's being done in the name of Islam, both here and abroad. I do the news about Islam around the world because it's a glimpse into the future of America as Islam grows here in the homeland. And it's a scary, scary picture. If you did not catch my show on the Muslim Brotherhood or the show Islam is Not a Religion, please find your way to PatriotRadioshow.com and catch at least those two shows, as it will give you a great foundation upon which we build week after week. Keep abreast of my shows, listen to the live stream, as well as any archives you may have missed at PatriotRadioshow.com. Before we get started, I'd like to thank my sponsor, columnist and noted author Cullen Flaherty, author of White Girl Bleed a Lot. It's a story about, it's not a story actually, it's a chronology of the black mob violence in America and what the media do to hide it and cover it up, and why the police are refusing to call it what it is. Over 80 cities across the country, over 300 incidents, punching people out, usually 12 to 20 black youths ganging up and swarming on a single little old white lady, or maybe an Asian. Incomprehensible. It's horrible stuff. I've got a great book by Mr. Flaherty, fabulous book. I'm going to give away a copy later in the hour, so please stay with me. And let's get the show on the road, because the times, they are a-changing. There's a lot of stuff happening around the world, and it's really changing the political climate, if you will. There's an article going around on the internet right now, 109 articles of impeachment against Obama. The man should be removed from office, He's committed treason on numerous times, but there's 109 different articles of impeachment against him. If we just had a Congress with the, let's say, nerve to put forth the process. I'm not going to read these 109 in one show. This would take 2 shows to go through if I did nothing but that. But for the next several shows anyway, I'm going to go over the 5 articles per show, just to remind you some of the stuff that's gone on in the past 5 years as we forget one thing with the next 2 or 3 scandals that pop up in front of us. So we're going to start with number 1. Appointed a shadow government of some 35 individuals termed czars, who are not confirmed by the Senate and respond only to the president, yet have overreaching regulatory powers, a clear violation of the separation of powers concept. Obama bypassed the Senate with many of his appointments of over 35 czars. 2, no congressional support for Libyan action. It's a violation of the War Powers Act. Obama lied to the American people when he said that there were no U.S. troops on the ground in Libya, and then later said there were only logistical support. Obama violated the War Powers Act of 73 by conducting a war against Libya without congressional authorization. 3, betraying of allies, namely Israel and Great Britain. Obama has placed the security of our most trusted allies in the Middle East, Israel, in danger, while increasing funding to the Palestinian Army, Fatah, another Islamic terrorist group, whilst they have joined in reconciliation pact with the long-standing terror group Hamas and the disclosure of a British nuclear secrets to the Russian in the START Treaty. Obama gave missile codes to the British Trident missiles to the Russians. So he's befriending our allies, and he's urinating, he's urinating on our allies, and he is befriending our enemies. Okay. Got my eyes fixed, and now my mouth isn't working. 4, backdoor implementation of the DREAM Act, which would grant 22 million illegals amnesty. Obama passed the DREAM Act through an executive order, bypassing Congress again. DREAM is Development, Relief, and Education for alien minors. They are illegals. They aren't alien minors. They are illegal citizens. Illegal aliens. 5, telegraphing troop reductions to the enemies. You never tell them when you're drawing down your troops. Against the consult of his experienced field commanders while embracing negotiations with our enemy, the Taliban, and recognizing another, the Muslim Brotherhood. I don't think I could get through more than 5 of those. My tongue's all tied up tonight, folks. Anyway, we'll do another 5 tomorrow night. Meanwhile, back on the White House, Obama's getting ready to sign another executive order. This one for his friends in the gay community. He's signing an order to protect the gay, lesbian, LGBT, transgender, all those guys in the workplace. So no more freedom of choice of who you hire. If you own a small business and a gay guy walks in, either you hire him or you hire somebody that's actually qualified for the job, and they'll claim that you didn't hire him because he was gay or because he was wearing a dress. And then you'll be taken to court, fined, and probably have picketers out in front of your house and all that stuff. That's the way these people work. But there was a similar bill that came through the House of Representatives, and Speaker of the House decided not to bring it up for a vote. This is his option. This is what the Speaker of the House does. It's what the Speaker of the Senate does. You're the head person of the body. You decide what bills are going to get voted on and what aren't. Well, Obama didn't get his way, so he took his marbles and went home, wrote his own law, and now he's going to sign it as an executive order. just another way that he's working around the Congress. Folks, we've got to pay some bills. Please stick around. We've got a lot of stuff to cover this hour. We'll be right back.
Tom O'Halloran.
We'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American way. All brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue. Of my red, white, and
blue. And welcome back, and thank you for sticking around. I know you have a lot of choices today on the radio with the internet and the airwaves, and I do appreciate you taking the time to tune in to my show. Things are turning ugly in Iraq. Not much of a surprise, really. Obama said within 30 days of taking office back in 2009, he said we're going to be out of Iraq by the end of 2011. And you just don't do that, folks. You don't telegraph to the enemy when you're leaving. They'll just sit back and wait for that day. And you don't say that you're going to be out until you're sure that the people that you're there to protect and train and ready are able to do so. But Obama, more of a political decision by far than a strategic military decision, he pulled out. He left Iraq to fend for themselves. And this is stupid because we've seen this over and over and over again. It happened 40 years ago in Vietnam when we walked out expecting the South Vietnamese to be able to defend themselves, and it was obviously not true, and millions were killed, the skulls stacked in mountains. It's not the right thing to do. To bring it home to a more relatable thing, if a wife calls the police and the police come over because her husband's beating on her, and the police sit there and protect her while the husband steams over in the corner, and the police say, okay, we're leaving now. You'll be okay. You can take care of yourself, right? What's she going to say? Yes, of course. The guy seems to have calmed down. The police have to leave. She doesn't have a lot of choice. The police leave, and the husband comes over and beats the crap out of her. And that's what's happened in Iraq. The organization known these days as ISIS, which is an al-Qaeda offshoot, swept through northern Syria and down through Iraq, as we talked about for the last couple of shows, sweeping through Mosul, Kirkuk, taking control of the largest oil refinery, and then finally sweeping into Baghdad. As 8,000 soldiers abandoned their posts, leaving behind tanks, weapons, uniforms, even their holster with their sidearms on it. They didn't even take that. They just ran. Town after town after town, security forces abandoned. From the edge of Iraq to the time they got down to Baghdad, a total of 800, no more, 800 terrorists, 800 ISIS scumbags coming through the country, beheading, stacking heads alongside the road and lining the road with anybody that got in their way. 800 people caused over 30,000 Iraqi soldiers to flee like cowards. They were not ready. They were not prepared. They were not in the fight for love of country. They were in the fight because it was a job. We paid them money to go put a uniform on. And when it came to really doing their job and protecting their country, they says, not for me, man. I'm going. I'm out of here. There are videos on the internet of the ISIS scumbags. And folks, these aren't just a few people. This is Islam. It is said in Islam, Muhammad beheaded anybody that did not believe in Islam. Muhammad tells people, emulate me. So the rule in Islam is emulate Muhammad in every way. That means kill anybody that is not a Muslim. If you don't believe me, go to patriotradioshow.com and listen to my show, Islam is Not a Religion. I lay it all out. This is a fact. Now, there are videos of them taking a Christian, forcing him to his knees, making him convert, making him say there is no God but Allah, betraying Jesus, betraying his own God. His last words were, there is no God but Allah. And then he was beheaded. Now these, you would think, are real nasty, evil people, but really, could they be? Because these are the same people that Obama has been giving money and weapons to. No, not in Iraq. These are the same guys, but before they crossed that little border line, which they actually took out, they took down the gate at the border between Iraq and Syria. They want an emirate. They want an emirate of Islam, a caliphate. They want a regional command. But while they were in Syria, Obama is giving them millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, sending them weapons, doing everything he can to support them and the Muslim Brotherhood, who is also an offshoot. These guys are all related. Al-Qaeda spun off of the Muslim Brotherhood. ISIS spun off of Al-Qaeda. They're all the same thing. Al-Qaeda actually kind of started disassociating themselves from ISIS because of their extreme violence. They're not like regular Al-Qaeda violence that just fly planes full of innocent people into buildings killing 3,000. These do it one-on-one. That's a little too violent for Al-Qaeda. They're not sure how to handle that. They're used to strapping bombs on and killing 50 people in a market. I don't really understand, to tell you the truth, what the difference is between ISIS and Al-Qaeda, how Al-Qaeda can say they're too violent. But at any rate, Obama has been funding these people, giving them as much money as he can get pulled from the coffers, and funding Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood and ISIS. Now that they've crossed the border and they're tearing down the country that he abandoned, he's trying to distance himself from it and saying, well, some nasty stuff going on over there with ISIS. I don't know what we can do. Iraq's a democracy. Well, Iraq hasn't even called for a national emergency. Their Congress, their parliament hasn't been able to get enough people to come into work to hold a vote. That's how not real this country is. We formed a government almost at the point of a gun, said you'll form this government. They formed the government. We said you'll build an army. They built an army. But it wasn't what they wanted. We tried forcing it upon them, and it doesn't work. It never works that way. Well, Iraq happens to control 10% of the world's oil. So when, and I don't say if, when ISIS takes the rest of the control of Iraq, we can expect a sharp increase in the price of oil. And this affects not only oil, but it also affects food prices, because trucks, ships, trains all run on fuel. And the more fuel we need for trucks to get the stuff to the market, the higher the prices are going to be. It's a global problem. It's going to affect not just the region, but America. It's going to affect the rest of the world. Obama has sent 250 troops in. Every contractor in Iraq has sent in helicopters to pick up their employees and bring them to safety. Obama has not secured the embassy. He has not secured the some 1,000 citizens, American citizens living in the U.S. compound over there. So we're on the verge of expecting another Benghazi type situation. We know that the ISIS terrorists have 35 tanks, maybe as many as 50 of our tanks, first-grade tanks, at least 2 Black Hawk helicopters, a whole slew of missiles. These guys are armed. And on the way from Syria down through Iraq, they also raided banks along the way. They got over $400 million in cash, plus a huge stockpile of gold. These people can buy a whole lot of jihad. I wonder if they've sent Obama a thank you card yet. This is ugly stuff, folks. This is not the war in Iraq that we had been fighting. We cleaned it up, we stabilized it, and all Obama had to do was keep enough people over there to hold peace and hold the front line. But he didn't. He turned tail and ran, thinking he could trust his fellow Muslims because he was being so good to them. If I give them money, they'll respect me, and they'll do what I ask. It doesn't work that way. Not in the real world. We've got a whole lot more coming up on this same story. We've got other stories coming up. There's just an awful lot more. But as soon as we get back from this next break, we're going to give away a book. And then we'll get back into it. Folks, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in and for sticking around with us. We're going to run Pay Some Bills, and we'll be right back.
Tom O'Halloran, holding the line against tyranny from Washington, D.C.
Thank you for sticking around, and thank you again for coming back. This is Patriot Radio with Tom O'Halloran, and I'd like to give away a copy of a book. My friend, noted columnist and author, Colin Flaherty, White Girl Bleed a Lot, The Return of Racial Violence to America and How the Media Ignore It. Nearly 400 pages, story after story, of the racial violence in America, where black mob teens will swarm in and beat up on harmless, victim or defenseless, usually women. They play a game called the knockout game, where you sneak up behind an innocent person and try to knock them out with one punch. If you fail, then you just start swinging and kicking until they do get knocked out. There have been people that have been killed in this process, and many more have gone to the hospital. Serious injuries, head injuries. It's a very, very awful story. It's a horrible thing to be sweeping the country. You won't hear Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson or Eric Holder or Barack Obama talking about it because it's black on white crime. They only talk about white on black crime. It's a severe difference. Most of the stories, or many of the stories anyway, have QR codes on them, so that when you read about this incident of Beat Whitey Night at the Iowa State Fair, yes, Iowa. I'm not talking Chicago and Detroit. This is Iowa. This is flyover country. But you read the article about the violence in that event, and then you use your smartphone, you take a scan of the QR code, and your phone will automatically take you to YouTube and show you a video. If not a video of the actual violence, then a video of the media coverage afterwards, and you can see how they spin it. Oh, it's just a bunch of mischief youths. Oh, it's just youthful playfulness. They won't say black mob. They won't say black teens. They won't say defenseless white woman or defenseless Asian woman. It's horrible. Even the police try to hide the facts of what it is because they don't want the media picking up on black on white crime in their cities, because the crime stats will go through the roof. If you'd like a free copy of this fabulous book, please be the first caller at 888-909-1050. And we're going to pick up right where we left off with this ISIS invasion into Iraq. There's no surprises here. The Muslim Brotherhood had some documents confiscated by the FBI from their own, one of their members' apartments. These documents stated that what they wanted to do was to establish a caliphate, a worldwide caliphate where Islam was the ruler around the world. You don't need rulers of each country. Their purpose in the United States is to take over America from within by getting people elected to City Hall, to the school boards. You get enough of them elected, you move them up into the state assembly and Congress and the Senate. But by the time people are aware of what's going on, you have enough votes to get what you want, and you can just start overruling the Constitution and stuff. So these are their plans. People know this. It's documented fact. The Muslim Brotherhood is declared a terrorist organization in most countries. Obama refuses to acknowledge them as such. But they have spawned Al-Qaeda. They have spawned Hamas, which both of those are identified as terrorist organizations by the United States. But Obama is giving them money. Now, giving money to the enemy of the American people is aiding and abetting the enemy. That is treason. Treason. Obama should be locked up, tried, convicted, and imprisoned or hanged for treason. He is giving money, he is giving weapons to the very same people that we are at war with. This is insanity, friends. This is absolutely insane. You don't give weapons to people that you are in battle with. We're fighting Al-Qaeda. We're fighting... It's insane. But Obama doesn't. He's made no effort to hide his allegiance. He's made no effort at all to hide it. He has sided with the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. He has advanced the Islamist forces in Libya. He destabilized that country. He sat back and watched the rise of barbaric terrorist group in Nigeria. He's allowed Iran to continue its march toward producing a nuclear device. And now he has allowed an al-Qaeda group, ISIS, to overtake major portions of Iraq as well. And he has also set free 5 top management people of the very enemy that we are at battle with. Yeah, we traded 5 top Taliban commanders for that traitor, Bo Bergdahl, that piece of crap, that scumbag that defected America and went to the Taliban. He wasn't captured. He went out looking for them. But let's put it in perspective. These aren't just 5 top Taliban commanders. It doesn't really put it in perspective. These are the 5 of the top generals of the very army that we are fighting in Afghanistan. The same people. He released their leaders so they can go and regroup and get a better handle on killing our sons, our fathers, our brothers and sisters. Obama is doing everything possible to ruin America from within, as they said in their documents, to ruin us from within. And how within could they ever hope to be than to have gotten a man of their own ilk into the White House? This is shameful. It's shameful, and the people that voted for Obama, you should be driven into the sea. And if you voted for him twice, you should be stoned and thrown into the sea. You voted for a man for one reason, because he was black. He had no credibility. He had no experience. He had no anything other than the fact that he was a black man, and you voted for him. Whether you're black or you're white, you wanted America to finally elect a black person. Well, guess what? You picked the wrong black guy. There's a lot of them that could have done us a lot of good. Herman Cain could have done us wonders. Allen West, Thomas Sowell. There's hundreds of them. But the one that you picked happened to have been a socialist, a communist. He was raised by communists. He affiliated with communists in college. How could you vote for a man who refused to show not only his birth certificate, but refused to show his college records? He's refused to show his passport. He's refused to show his Social Security card, which, by the way, happens to have a guy that was about 40 years older than him and had died decades earlier. Shame on you for voting for Obama. Shame on you. You're part of the problem that America is where it is right now. Martin Luther King said, "Judge not a man based upon the color of his skin, but on the content of his character." Obama had no character. You voted for him because he was black. And that is shameful. You see, because it's you people that voted for him that are the most dangerous thing for this country. We could replace Obama tomorrow if Congress woke up and says, "Oh, what are we thinking? Let's impeach this guy. Let's throw him in jail." It wouldn't solve a thing because there's still enough stupid people in this country to vote for somebody they don't know without knowing what the man stands for, who his friends are, how he's voted in the past. Obama's not the most dangerous thing in this country. It's the fact that we've got millions of people that want the free lunch that Obama promised them. They want their Obama phone. They want their mortgage paid for. They want their free lunches. It's the stupid people that want the state to take care of them, rather than getting off their lazy behinds and taking care of themselves, than standing up and having some self-responsibility. This is America, and you should be ashamed of being such a lazy, ignorant person. I don't care whether you're black, white, gay, straight. It matters not to me what your background or orientation is. But by God, if you're going to get off your butt and vote for somebody, do it for something other than, "I wanted a free lunch." I'm so sick of people saying Obama's the reason the country's in the mess it's in. Oh, he certainly helped. But it's the millions of people that were too lazy to look into him and find out who he was. Find out what he was about. You voted for him because he was black, and you believed you were going to get an Obama phone, and you knew you'd be on welfare, stay on unemployment, get disability, get all that free crap that everybody else gets up every morning and goes to work, works hard to pay for their own bills, paying their own way, having self-responsibility, having self-respect. Instead, you sold your vote. You sold your country. For what? An EBT card. Shame on you. Shame on you. Oh, no. Don't you over there. Don't you sit there and sit all puffy and think I'm pointing the finger to them. No. It's the Republicans, too. No, I know you didn't vote for Obama. But in 2012, there were 4 million fewer Republican votes than there were in 2008. 4 million Republicans didn't get up and vote against Obama. You were too lazy to go out and vote. Iraq never had a vote. Now they do, and they have about a 95% turnout. We've always had it. We've always had the right, the privilege to vote. In an important presidential year, we get maybe 35%. Shame on you. If you're on the right and you didn't go out and vote against Obama in 2008 and or 2012, you're just as much at fault as those on the left that wanted a free lunch. Shame on you. And with that, we'll go pay some more bills. Thank you for sticking around.
Tom O'Halloran has a not-so-common core spelling lesson for the Obama administration. Ready? There is no K in America.
There's kids that can't pray in school, $100 tanks of gas. I can tell you right now, this country ain't supposed to be like that. No, that ain't my America. That ain't this country's roots. You wanna slam all on the Sam, but I ain't letting you. Yeah, I'm mad as hell, and you know I still bleed red, white, and blue. They ain't us, and that ain't my America. Oh no, that ain't my America. No, 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 no.
Thanks for sticking around, folks. I had a good friend of mine just send me a message on Twitter. He says, doesn't sound like you voted for Obama, did you? Yeah, guess not. We're going to change the topic here for a little bit, or I'm going to need some heart attack pills, I think. Some blood pressure medicines anyway. Friday the 13th, last week, IRS sat before the IRS commissioner sat before Congress and told them that the computer seems to have crashed and Lois Lerner's emails won't be available. They seem to have lost 2 years' worth of emails that she sent to internal colleagues. One question further, they said that it was on her laptop, and now a week or 4 or 5 days later, and they're saying that there are 5 other laptops that the emails can't be retrieved from either. Now, I wonder if tax day comes around and you tell them that the computer ate your receipts. Do you think they'll let you get away with it? First of all, folks, my background is in IT, information technology. I was an IT director. I ran the network for a large West Coast hospital, shall we say, one of the large, prestigious West Coast hospitals. And email is stored on a server, on a big computer in a data center, and it's backed up on a daily basis. And then there's a backup of the backup, and then there's a backup the next day that's totally separate. It doesn't overwrite each other. So there's no way in the world that these copies of their emails are lost. I promise you. It's not possible. If a record is deleted, there is a log tracked. So if Congress isn't just there for show, they can demand to see the logs of the servers, find out who is deleting what, where, when, and how, because these files don't go missing. And that kind of an excuse doesn't pass the muster with a third-grade teacher, and it certainly shouldn't pass with Congress. But they're saying that they spent over $1 million just paying employee hours, something like 230 employees, hundreds of man-hours trying to recover this one woman's emails. This is insane. It is absolutely asinine. It is stupid. You sit the computer administrator down, the network administrator down, tell him you want every email out of Lois Lerner's email box for the past 5 years. He pushes a button and it is in one file. You don't have to go pull them from here and pull them from there and pull them from there. You push a button, you have the entire set in about 5 minutes. Give them an hour. Maybe it's a lot of emails. There's some 60,000 emails. Give them a half an hour. Give them an hour. But $1 million? No, they're tagging fictitious hours onto the fictitious search and putting dollars on it to make it sound like Congress is wasting the money. Next story, Planned Parenthood. Now these scumbags, largest abortion mill in the country, in the world probably, because Obama's trying to support them spreading across the world. An investigator posing as a 15-year-old girl, that's 15-year-old girl, goes to the Planned Parenthood office. And an employee suggested that this teenage girl watch pornographic videos of sadomasochism, use sex toys, and, quote, work up to the point that her boyfriend could begin hitting her during intercourse. There's a video by a pro-life group, Live Action, did this undercover thing. It's a 17-minute video. The woman gives her recommendations for her sexual agenda for her 15-year-old girl and her 17-year-old boyfriend, where they might pursue progressing from watching pain-inflicting sexual practices on video to inflicting pain on one another. This is in Indianapolis. This isn't some backwater nothing. This is horrible. Perhaps he could bite you hard enough to maybe draw some blood. Telling a 15-year-old girl how to let her 17-year-old boyfriend bite her hard enough to draw blood, and how to hide it by having him bite her on the chest where it won't be seen. Planned Parenthood stands to get another $45 million of taxpayer money this year. Call your congressman. Put a stop to that. We can't be given, it's not 45, it's $75 million they're expecting you to get of your money that you're working hard for. Speaking of wasted taxpayer dollars, well, our border leaks like a sieve as 60,000 illegal children are sent north by their parents, crossing the border, being stored in warehouses, army barracks, what have you, until Obama can put them on planes and buses and ship them around the country to be unloaded onto the states' budgets around the country. Meanwhile, the Border Patrol is taken off guarding the border, so our borders are open. The drug cartel is now coming through at will, driving whatever they want, drugs, dirty bombs, terrorists, anything that wants to come across the border now can, because Obama has removed the border control, the border patrol people, and they're in now heating baby formula and changing diapers for these illegal babies so that Obama can distribute them to their parents so they'll never have to go back to where they came from. Again, being the political whore for the Democratic Latino vote. Wasted dollars as our country is sold down the drain. Meanwhile, United Nations vehicles have been seen repeatedly on trucks and flatbed trains being shipped around the country. They seem to be coming into the country through Alabama and possibly other places, but certainly from Alabama. And user on Twitter, StoneGuy223, put some videos up where he saw them passing through his neck of the woods. He says, I'm not sure what the heck is going on here, but all that furniture on them trucks is brand new. In other words, the trucks and tanks and such are well armed with modern weapons. They're coming after us, folks. They're coming after us. All of us that stand up to them, probably those of us with microphones first, and I'll be on the airwaves until my black helicopter comes. But get on the phone, get on the internet, start raising all kinds of noise. This stuff has to stop. Obama has to stop giving money. Congress has to stop stalling, man up, grow a pair, and impeach the SOB in the White House. He's a traitor. He's treasonous. He swore to uphold and defend the Constitution. Meanwhile, he uses it to wipe his butt. Patriots, I get asked on a daily basis. And again, by patriots, I mean anybody, left or right, Democrats, Republicans, Independents. If you long for an America that we grew up in, one where the kids in school were being taught reading, writing, and arithmetic, and we excelled in all, where Americans were proud to be Americans and traveled freely without risk. You're the patriots I'm speaking to. I'm asked on a daily basis, what can I do to help and make a difference? Folks, go to TomO'Halloran.com. Veronica Coffin and I post 10 to 15 articles a day up there. Pick a couple of stories. Post them to the internet. Post them to Facebook. Retweet them. Email the stories to your friends. Then look at the very top on the Tom O'Halloran website. There's 12 more websites that we run. There's Blood on Her Hands about Hillary. There's Jihad on America for my Friday night show. There's one on gun-free zones. Pick another site or two. Find some more stories. Post them. Put the stories up on the internet. It's not too late to turn our country back around and get her back on track. But at this point in the fight, you're either fighting or you're part of the problem. It's time to take the gloves off and fight for what you believe in. There's a lot of people out there intent on destroying America, and it's time to make a choice. God bless you, America. Good night. This is Tom O'Halloran. I'm out.